Premier Mike Baird, official guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming today to a conference in the countryside convened by a mum and dedicated to a subject which was considered taboo in Australia only months ago. I especially wish to thank the keynote speakers who've shown incredible dedication to medical cannabis by being prepared to travel across the world to be here for just 2 days. My genuine hope is that this inaugural symposium is an opportunity to share knowledge, to learn, to foster relationships and networks, and above all, to find a meaningful solution to support people who need medicinal cannabis in their lives to ease their suffering. There's no other agenda, no ulterior motive, no desire to make widespread recreational drug use the norm. I just aim to ease unnecessary suffering for my loved one and for everyone's loved ones. I have so many people to thank for their time and so little time to do it. I'm just going to mention a few. Firstly, I want to explain that holding the symposium in Tamworth is really a symbolic gesture, to thank the Tamworth community for their incredible support of my family and this important cause. Country people are truly compassionate people. Thank you also to Daniel Johns and the Northern Daily Leader, who have shown a great leap of faith to drive this cause in the early stages and who have supported it throughout. Helen Kaplos, our beautiful hostess for the symposium, has given her time freely today, but more than that, she's been integral in organising this event and has helped me every step of the way. Likewise, Troy Langman from AusCan has given his time, his expertise and his friendship to help me put this event together. Alan Jones couldn't be here today, but Alan has been incredibly supportive and a powerful ally who's given me lots of courage to keep fighting for this medicine. Also, Mike Baird. Thank you for coming to Tamworth to open the event, but more importantly, thank you, Mike, for being a statesman who listens and who does more than just pay lip service to a distressed mum. You have restored my faith in politicians, at least a few. My husband Lou has backed me all the way in support of Dan and this cause, which was a big leap of faith for a former drug squad detective. He too has had to be prepared to have an open mind and heart, and whatever I've needed, he's been there. Finally, I'd like to thank Dan, who couldn't be here this morning. Hopefully he'll make it later today. My beautiful son, who was prepared to speak out when he recognised that all was not right with a system which allows the sick to suffer because of outdated laws and undeserved stigma. Dan and I have been on a journey of learning and have realised that unless you are prepared to look at medical cannabis with open eyes, you will probably settle for the propaganda and the vilification which has wasted many years. Years when the sick, who have been failed by modern pharmaceutical products, could have been accessing good medicine at a fraction of the cost. I just wish that Dan did not have to become so sick for me to have learned about medical cannabis. So a few months back, I asked the question, is this really the best Australia can do when people who are sick are forced to access cannabis on the black market, risk prosecution, risk being ripped off, be forced to become chemists and not be exactly sure what they are taking or giving their loved one because they are desperate to relieve pain and symptoms of often intractable and incurable diseases? I've made no secret of the fact that I don't think we should settle for this, and I guess that the purpose of the symposium is largely to help Australia find solutions so that this is no longer the case, because quite frankly, I'm ashamed that good people are treated like criminals. The sheer enormity of the civil disobedience we are seeing in Australia regarding medical cannabis surely sends a loud signal to politicians that the laws surrounding access to this medicine are essentially outdated and out of step with public attitudes of today. I'm also frustrated by the rhetoric and the safe position that so many people of influence have taken. People who dismiss the cries of the sick because they are not prepared to do their job, to become educated, let alone to make heartfelt efforts to solve an enormous humanitarian problem. The Hippocratic Oath has made hypocrites of many, and it makes me more than just sad. Using an argument about the possibility of long-term detrimental side effects for cannabis is of little or no consequence to someone who is contemplating discontinuing chemotherapy because they cannot bear to be so violently ill, or to a parent who watches their child sleep through constant grand mal seizures while they're causing their developing brain to regress, and which could be fatal at any time. My father, Dr. Peter Wake, died a terrible death, 25 years ago from pancreatic cancer. He was a very clever man and an anaesthetist and director of the intensive care here in Tamworth. When I told my mum that her grandson was trialling cannabis to manage his symptoms, I was worried she'd be shocked and opposed. Instead, she told me that when Dad was at his lowest, he confided in her that he wished he had some cannabis. So this is for Dad too. So if someone with significant needs gets relief from cannabis, accessing this medicine should be their right. If a parent has a choice between watching their child being treated unsuccessfully with harmful prescription medications or giving them cannabis oil, which has effects that result in medicos describing miraculous outcomes, then that parent should be supported in their choice, instead of being vilified and fearing removal of their child by government authorities. This campaign started because I wanted to protect Dan and my family from being considered as criminals. It's still very much for Dan, but it's also much more now. It's the best way I can help thousands of people who have reached out for help. I can't turn my back on them, and I hope that Australian politicians and policymakers can't either. I hope that each of you gets something valuable from this symposium, whatever your political persuasions, whatever your reason for being here. Whether it be personal or professional, I hope that the spirit of the day will be to truly unite in compassion and find a great outcome for Australia. Thank you.